Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sandy Zimmer, and today we're going to create this sweet layout using the S2304 Sweet Tweets April 2023 Stamp of the Month. So it has all of these fun birds on it, and we're starting with a piece of white daisy, 7x7. And I'm just going to load these various stamps up on the blocks and stamp them with the Intense Black ink. The Intense Black ink allows me to color with my alcohol markers and not get any smudging. So I am just randomly stamping these birds all over this piece of white daisy. Some of them I'm going off the edge and some of them I'm staying right on. And I just continue to switch out the different birds and stamp and fill up this space. So you can see here that I'm trying to fill it in the best I can. This is the last little bird, and so I'm just going to turn that birdie and put it in there and stamp some right off the edge. And when I stamp these ones off the edge, you can't really tell which bird it is, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm just cleaning up my workspace here. This all-purpose mat is great for this because it wipes up really nice and easy. I want something to fill in these spaces, so I'm going to go ahead and use that You're So Sweet stamp set. And again, I'm still using my Intense Black ink here to just stamp it randomly. I did some of them off camera so it wasn't so boring for you, but I am basically just filling in the spots there. And again, some of them are being stamped off to the side. Here I'm using my Gold Brown Blend alcohol marker, Z2404 and I'm just showing you one bird here I'm going to color on camera, and then the others I'm going to color off camera. So I start with the lightest shade of that alcohol marker, and then I come in with my medium and just create a little bit of contour on that bird so you can sort of see where the neck starts and so on. And I'm going to come in with the darkest part here in a little bit, but first I'm going to blend with the lightest and then fill in right around that eye just so that that face is really standing out. And I'm just using that light one again to blend all of those colors together. Now I'm going to switch to the dark and I'm going to come around the edge. And I'm really going to start that contour of the body shape now. So you'll really see that it comes out. Now I'm by no means a professional colorer or anything like that. Totally self-taught. I do what I like. And I think that's kind of the fun of it, is that you do what you like, and as long as you're happy with the results, that's all that really matters. So now I'm coming in with that medium again, continuing that contour. Gonna come in with the light and just blend that all together. So I'll lift it up shortly here so you can have a closer look of it. And again, I'm still using that Gold Brown Blend for all of this part. So there's a close-up look. Now I'm going to go to the True Blue Blend, Z2491, and I'm using the blue for the wings and for the back and the head here. And so I started with the lightest, and again I'm coming in with the medium, just trying to create some depth in that body shape there. And I will go to the dark here. And that really helps to enhance that bird and have it stand out a little bit more. Going to add some blue to the tail feathers there. And later I will come in with the Gold Brown Blend and add a little brown to the tail feathers as well. Coming back in with the lightest shade there to just blend that all together. Now I am just finishing, as I said, with the Gold Brown Blend on the tail. And I'm going to the light green blend, Z2485, and I'm just coloring in the leaves with the medium here. And I decided I would use this color even though it's pretty bright, but I actually really like how it comes together in the end. I really wanted them to have some, I don't know, some standoutness, if that's a word. And here I am using the dark just to create a little bit more depth on those leaves. And just coloring them in. So now I'm switching to the dark red blend, Z2497, and what I'm doing is I'm just coloring in all of those red flowers with the lightest shade here. And in a minute, I'll come in with the medium and then the dark just to create a little bit of depth in those as well. So there's the medium just coming in from the middle. And now I'm going to use the dark just to really bring that out. And you'll see at the end here, as I lift it up, you can see the detail coming there. And I'm going to go in again with that gold brown blend for the middle of the flower. Now I decided to use the coral blend, Z2481 for the beak. I didn't want it to be too prominent and loud. So you'll see here that I've got all those birds colored up. Now I'm coming in with the gold paint pen. These come in a set of 3, Z4579. And I'm just using the fine tip here, the 7mm. And just adding some dots here and there. It just gives it a little bit of sparkle. And I'm just adding some gold onto those little leaves that are on that bird as well. All of the birds, actually. Adding some detail. I go in and I use it for the middle of the eyes. So you can see that little shimmer happening there. So it's coming together slowly. And then I grab the Capri Ink. And that is Z6528. And then the blender brush, which is Z4572. And I'm just going around the outside and really blending that in, and then whatever's left on my brush, I sort of go in between the birds. I'm not taking a lot of time here to mask off anything. In fact, I'm not masking anything at all. I think that if there's a little bit of blue on the birds, it's totally fine because they have blue on them already. But I am kind of being careful to just go in between them. So as the ink wears off my brush, I kind of go in between just really lightly just to have a little bit of that blue there. So you can see how that's coming together. Now for the layout that I'm working on, I'm cutting this in half at a diagonal. So I'm just putting that in my paper trimmer and cutting that off. And then I'm going to come in again with my Capri and my blender brush and just ink up the edges of that area that I cut, so that again you can really see the depth created by that. I love just creating patterned papers, starting with a plain white or a single color and then just creating something fun. So here I'm using my journaling pen Z4575, and I'm just going around the edge just to create a bit of a border, just to have that paper stand out when I put it on my layout. So there's my finished doodling. And then there's just a shot of all of those markers that I used. Now I'm going through and I'm using the X8033B, the flower shop papers here. And I'm just going through and finding what I like. This yellow I think is kind of pretty, so I choose that. And all of these papers are two-sided, so I can choose whichever side I want. I'm just showing you, you get 2 of each paper, and I'm just showing you the single sides right now. So again, I'm just going through and picking what I like. I sort of decide that I like this blue coming up here. And you'll see in the shots there that all of them have like a zip strip on the edge. So our papers come in 12 by 12 with an extra 1/2 inch that has that zip strip on it. And on the back of the zip strip, it lists all of the colors that coordinate with those paper packs. So here I am, I'm coloring this navy dot paper into 6 by 8 and 6 by 10.5. So you'll see me just using my paper trimmer here to do that. I love how our paper trimmers have that little arm that swings out and just makes it easier to cut our papers without it being a really massive trimmer. So now I'm grabbing that yellow. I'm cutting off that 1/2 inch zip strip on both of these to start with, and then I'm trimming my paper up. Aren't those zip strips pretty? I don't end up using them on this layout, but you could certainly add them in if you like them. So the yellow, I'm cutting at 3.5 by 10 and 3.5 by 11. And again, you can just see me doing that here. This paper trimmer cuts so nicely. I love how I know exactly where it's going to cut. So I'm just laying these out and making sure that I like the way that these papers go with the paper that I just created, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I decide that I'm going to do some doodling around the edge of all of these really quickly here. So I'm using my black journaling pen around the outside of that yellow. And then I'm trying to decide what to do with this one, and I decide, oh, I really like the gold on those little birds, so I'm going to use my gold 7mm paint pen around the edge of this as well. Now, just a heads up, you do need to give this a little bit of time to dry because it is paint rather than marker, so it sort of stands on top for a moment, but it dries really quickly, but you do want to give it a little bit of time. So there you can see, I'm going to zoom up here, you can see the shimmer on those blue ones and then the black on the yellow. So here's our Capri paper, and of course our cardstock comes with a dark side and a light side, so I'm just trying it out to see which side I want to use, and I decide I want to go with that lighter side. So I'm just gluing that 7x7 diagonal piece in the corner there. And then I'm going to put this navy one up against the inside. Just making sure that it's straight along that inside edge there. Then I'm going to grab this yellow one and put it inside and sort of overlap it. Now I'm just showing you here that I don't glue right to the very end. Sometimes I like to tuck embellishments and things inside. I didn't end up doing that on this one, but I just did want to show you that I always sort of leave a little bit of an edge there. Now I'm just working on the right hand page here, putting that triangle in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm just going to match up that blue and that yellow to the left hand page here in a second. So I find the best way to do this is to line up those pieces of cardstock and then just lay those down. I'm going to lift up these birds because I decide I want the birds to be over top. Spent a lot of time working on those guys and I really like them. I want them to show off. So again, I'm doing the same thing with this yellow piece. Going to line it up, put it down, and then again I'm going to lift up those birds one last time here so that I can tuck that yellow piece in. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive just to make sure that holds down. And that's kind of the base of my 2 pages there. So I decide that I'm going to use that You're So Sweet again, just to create sort of a background for my paper here. So I start going along the top edge there with my black intense ink. And you can see here that it didn't quite fit there, so I'm going to match up my pages. And I'm going to stamp it so that it goes over top of both of those pages. Move that left one out of the way, and I'm going to keep going here. Now I didn't really plan out my spacing very well, so the last 2 kind of get squished together, but I work with that and I fix it kind of when I do the layout here, so you'll see my fix in a moment. So there's just a close-up shot of that. I've gone ahead and I've put down my photo placeholders here. So this holds 2 4x4s, a 4x6, and a 4x5. And then there's a 3 1/4 square on the right hand page that you could use for a sentiment, but I think I'm just going to use it for journaling, so I didn't put anything on it just yet. I may add a sentiment later on once I put photos on this. Here I'm using the medium gold paint pen to create my mats. So I didn't want another layer of paper, but I did want that gold shimmer to continue. So I just used my gold paint pen to do that. So some of that I did on camera and some of I did off. I just wanted to sort of show you how I did it. But again, I didn't want to bore you with all of that time that it took to go around. Not that it took that much time, but when you're watching it on a video, it's kind of boring. So here we go. In a moment, I will hold that up and show you what that all looks like. I really like the addition of that extra shimmer. Hopefully you can see it on the video. So while I've got that medium one in my hand, I decide to add some gold dots just here and there. Again, just sort of adding that shimmer everywhere. I really started to use these dots with different pens and whatnot, and I really love them. So I just kind of do that all over the pages. And then I decide I'm actually going to add it into that cardstock that I created with the birds on it as well. Again, just for a little bit of continuity. So I just sort of add them here and there on both of those corners. Loving how that's coming together. Okay, so I had 4 of those little birds already colored, and I cut them out and I just added them in there. And so you can see that that bird, or maybe a little later you'll see that bird sort of covered up where my little double stamping there of that sentiment was. And I'm just layering these birds, pardon me, in the corner here. I like how that comes together. And there we go. So now I decide I'm going to use that same sentiment here with my Capri ink, and I'm just going to create kind of a fun edge here and there. So I'm just, again, sort of random stamping it. I'm going to use a Post-it note just to do a little bit of blocking so it doesn't go over top of my paper that I created. Masking, I should say, not blocking. So here we go. I'm just going to go around this little birdie, cover up that tail so I don't stamp on that. So you can see I'm just creating a little bit of shape with those stamps, and just using that same sentiment all over the place. So I just sort of pick and choose where I want it to go. It's not something that needs to take a lot of time, although this is sped up, just so that you know. And again, I'm just using that Post-it note to mask off where I don't want it to go. And I do have my foam mat underneath my all-purpose mat here, so that I'm getting a really good stamp. Here again, I'm putting those 2 pieces together so that I can create that continuity between the pages. And I am inking up between each one so that it's a fairly dark sentiment that's happening there. And again, I'm just using that Post-it note to mask off, just randomly stamping all over the place. Then I decide, oh, I want it to be in that corner, so I switch that around. I really love it, how it comes together in the end. Hopefully you like this as well. And you can use this, you can do this with any stamp. It doesn't have to be anything that's designed for this. I could have also used some other images off of this stamp that were, you know, like branches or anything like that. But I really wanted to use the words for this one. So now I'm just going to do a little bit down at the bottom here. And I've got that gold paint pen down, so when I stamp over top of it, because it is paint, it's not going to adhere to that, so it's going to give me a layered look as well. So it's going to look like I stamped first and then I put those gold dots on. So there's a close-up of how that looks so far. Now I wanted to continue to add some depth, so again I grabbed that blender brush and my Capri ink, and I'm just inking around the edges here. And I'm going a little bit heavier where the words are, just to blend them into the paper a little bit more. Not too worried about if I have any brush marks or anything in there. I feel like it adds to sort of the fun of the paper. You could take your time if you don't like that look and smooth it out a little bit more. Again, I'm using that mask and I'm just going in around where those words are. Doesn't matter too much if I get ink where the photos are going to go, because they're going to get covered up, but I still wanted it to have a nice clean look. So again, I'm just going along the edge there and going around all of the different pieces. So there again, you get a close-up look, and I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand page. Some of that I did off camera again, just to not bore you. And I just keep going. So this is a really fun way. It's called tone on tone. I'm using the same color paper and the same color ink and blending the same color. And so it's really nice and easy. You don't have to have a lot of supplies for one thing. And I also really like the look of this. So I thought about maybe doing some flicking with that same color ink But then I decided that I wanted to do something else. Oh, sorry, here I go back in with my white gel pen, and that is Z1513, and you get a set of 3 of these, and I just add some highlight marks on my birds and whatnot with that white gel pen. And again, to continue that continuity with the white gel pen, I'm going to use the white gloss spray, that's Z5010. And so I'm just taking it out of the bottle. I'm not using the spray nozzle. I'm just pulling it out of the bottle, and I'm just sort of flicking that piece that pulls up the ink. And again, I'm masking off where I don't want the ink to go, and just sort of spritzing some of that white. So again, that adds a little continuity with my white gel pen, and it just gives it another layer of dimension. It's really quite pretty. It's a bit of, I mean, it is a gloss spray, so it's got some gloss to it. And again, it adds just another dimension to my paper. So here we go. I'm doing it again on the right-hand page here. I didn't worry too much about covering up where my photos are going to go, because my photos are going to cover that up. But again, I do want to cover up, you know, the darker papers and my yellow paper. So I just spritz that all around, and then there's a look of that. Isn't that neat? So here's a look of my finished pages. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you'll give it a try. The stamp of the month is only available for the month of April 2023. So when you place an order, you can purchase it, or you can, with a $60 purchase in Canada, you can get it for a lesser price, or if you're a VIP, you can get it for free. So again, my name is Sandy Zimmer. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. I will put a list of products in the description, and you can purchase them at sandyzim.closetomyheart.ca. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the bell and subscribe. You can also give me a thumbs up, and I'd love it if you would share it with your crafty friends. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.